What's going on, everybody? I was just talking about this topic in my Instagram, and I decided to come here and create this video because I feel like this can help a lot of people. And believe me, when I was fighting, I thought that real winning was seeing my arm raised inside the octagon, but when I retired from fighting and started helping people, I understood that winning, the ultimate way of win in life, is by helping others to get to the places where they want to be in life. And that's why I created a private community where I help people to invest their money, because that's what I did my whole life, and I was able to multiply my net worth in the last few years investing in the stock market. And I started in real estate. I was smart with my money during my fighting career. I used well my resources during my athletic career, and when I retired very well at 32 years old. I had a really bad concussion. I was doing very well financially, and I didn't need the money to pay for my bills anymore, which is a thing that a lot of athletes do need. I didn't need that. That led me to retire at 32 years old. I retired very happy. Dana White offered me a job in the UFC to help the UFC Performance Institute to help fighters with life skills, and I took that job. I worked on that job for a year. It was one of the best things I've done in my life. I had really good experiences with fighters looking from the outside, and that led me to join the UFC Fight Pass team, and I started helping the UFC Fight Pass team to build their jiu-jitsu division. And now UFC BJJ is one of the biggest jiu-jitsu events in the whole world, and I helped to create that event and help them to run that event. And on the side, I have my businesses, I have my real estate, I have my stock market, I have this community I'm building, and I'm mostly here to share my experiences with you, because I get athletes and even entrepreneurs and business owners and people that work a 9 to 5 coming to me and asking me questions. In the beginning, I didn't know how to answer these questions, and I went and got a high performance coaching certification to be able to kind of understand how I did things, and that led me to be very comfortable with helping people in their lives. This is not attached to anything that I do with the UFC. This is my personal channel. My Instagram is also not attached to anything that I do with the UFC. It's my personal account, and I come here to talk about different things than what I do in the UFC. With that being said, I want to share with you the number one experience, the number one thing I did in my life that really helped me to leave that little town in the northeast of Brazil where I had no opportunities and get all the way to the top. And that thing was making a decision. At 14 years old, I watched my mom raising 5 kids and struggling to raise 5 kids. I was a very energetic kid. I was always playing outside, and I always wanted to play sports and do things outside of the house, and I was always hungry, and I would come back home and I didn't have enough to eat. I never had enough to eat, and that led to a lot of frustration. I was very frustrated early on, and I watched my parents fighting because of money. My dad drank alcohol his whole life, and my mom was always grinding, working, making sure we had enough on our plates. And my mom's number one thing was that she wanted us to go to private school. Even before eating good foods, she wanted to make sure that we went to private school, and I'm very thankful for my mother. When I started making good money, the first thing I did was to buy her a house and retire her, because that was the main thing for me, was the education I had early on. But I left at 14. I hitchhiked on the highway. This guy, a truck driver, drove me to the nearest town, and I went to this place where the best fighters from my region were training jiu-jitsu, and I saw in jiu-jitsu an opportunity to change my life. We were talking about a time where women was not even in the UFC, where women was not making money in jiu-jitsu, but I saw the path with men, and I knew that we were going to make it one day if we just worked as hard as the men. So I made that decision. I said, that's what I'm doing. I am choosing this path. I remember telling my dad, and my dad was looking at me. I was a white belt kid making a decision, but I really made that decision that really changed my life. A lot of people stay stuck because they never make that decision. They never tell themselves that, excuse me my words here, but they never tell themselves, fuck it, I'm going to change my life. And I told myself that very early on, and that led me to put myself in an environment with champions, with people that were um, achieving good things in sports, and that helped me so much. That was the first thing I did. Um, and if you're in a position in your life where you feel like you're not making good decisions, pay attention to your environment, the people you have around you, and the things you're trying to do. Make sure your habits and behaviors are aligned with your future goals. Okay. Um, the second thing I want to tell you, which is also very important, is that making more money is way easier than saving money. And a lot of people live in this saving mindset. They put money under their mattresses. They um, feel like they shouldn't buy the coffee. They start saving with little things, even with food. But I'll tell you what, when you live in this mindset of saving, and I saw my parents doing that, I watched my mom doing that. It was so hard to take my mom out of that mindset, because you really get stuck with that mindset that, I watched her like keeping bad food in the fridge and not really buying new fresh food because she wanted to make sure we ate everything we bought, and to the point where she would eat expired food, and just to stay stuck in that mentality of saving. And when you do that, that leads to limitations, because now you're focused on not building new skills and becoming a better person, and becoming a person that has different skills. You stay stuck in positions where you don't really have energy to focus on building skills where you will make more money. And one of the things I learned early on is that I should always focus on bringing value to the world and to people that I have around me. And money is consequence of the value you bring to the world. And I understood that very early on. And I feel like a lot of people stay trapped in this idea of trading their time for money to then pay for bills, and they never understand, most people never understand that when you trade your time for money, because you have to do that in the beginning, you are trading your most valuable thing, which is your time, for money. And when you only get money to pay for bills, and you keep bringing up more bills and growing your bills, and you never understand that if you do trade your time for money, but then now the money is buying assets or bettering the assets you already have, then the assets will eventually pay for your bills, and you don't have to do the work that takes so much out of your time and your time with your family and the things that you want to do in your life. So understand that if you do trade your time for money, which you have to do in the beginning to make your money, instead of paying for bills, buy assets. Yes, you do have to pay for bills as well, but don't stay stuck in this circle, this rat race of working to make money to pay for bills. Make sure you're buying assets, and that's not a hard thing to do, especially if you know how to split your income between wants, needs, and your future money bag, which is very important as well. So that's number 2. Okay, making money is way easier than saving money. Make yourself a better person, build more skills, that will help you to make more money. It will be easier for you emotionally, and it will be easier for you later in life than staying stuck in the idea of saving, saving, saving. Okay? And number three, you know, sticking with the basics is something that people don't do much. And, I actually talk about this all the time. If you get to master the basics in literally anything, if you want to lose weight, you have to go back to the basics and track your food and eat less than and work out more and eat less, right? It's a math. Losing weight is it's mathematics. And if you just do that, go back to the basics with losing weight, you will lose weight. If you go back to the basics with money, you will be able to save money to invest. Okay? And there's even a study you can look at where if you go through a financial funnel, which is like taking a look at everything you spend, an average person will find around $600 that they're spending with things that they don't need. And this $600 could be going towards your money bag for your retirement. And $600 a month for 30 years is way over $1 million. Okay, just so you know, this is one of the biggest money myths, is that you need a lot of money to start investing. You don't. You need to get started. The two most important things for compound interest to work well is time and consistency. If you have the time and the discipline to consistently invest in the stock market, you will do well long term. And when you do these three things, these three mindset things, you'll be able to separate yourself from most, because that's not what most people are doing. And let me know in the comments if you like this type of video. I'm going to jump in here and do more of this. Please like and subscribe if you want to continue to get content like that from me. I feel like I have a lot to share, and I want to come here and share more with you guys. So drop in the comments, please follow, like, and let me know. Comment in the video here down below if you like this type of content, and I'll be sharing more of my experiences here with you guys. Okay, thank you for being here. Bye bye.